Hello, how's it going? And welcome to episode 74 of the Casual Gamecast, a weekly video game podcast for the everyday gamer, brought to you from the team at Casual Game Content. I had to stop for a second because the hypocrisy of saying the weekly video game podcast.
Yeah, bi-weekly when we feel like it.
As often as we can. Yes, folks, it has been a little while since we had a regular podcast. We had a little scheduled break. Then an opportunity to do Comic-Con came up and we jumped at that. That kind of knocked us out for about a week as well. Then that one came out. Then I got hit by COVID and, we all had stuff just going to happen. So yeah, things got a bit weird for a little bit, but hey, we're back and we are better than ever. So, guys, I am Phil Kyo, if this is your first time here, and I am joined by the lovely Kieran Busby. Say hello, Kieran.
Hello there. How's it going? Good to meet you, Phil.
Good to meet me. It's been that long. And guys, we're going to be bringing back the old format of chatting about what's going on, chatting about what we've been playing, and chatting about what happened in the industry this week or since we last chatted that we care about. So, what happened since the last time we were here? Well, guys, there is a new Monkey Island confirmed to be coming from the original creator, Ron Gilbert, so that is a very interesting one to keep an eye on. PlayStation has revealed their Game Pass competitor. Yes, that's right, they are coming out swinging, and they want your $15 a month rather than giving it to Microsoft. Have they done enough? We'll dive in. Then, GTA Online. Yes, the semi-free-to-play online game that has recently become free-to-play online game.
I think it recently became free-to-play, yeah.
Yeah, that is now trying to figure out even more insidious ways of getting into your bank account than just giving you shark cards, so we'll dive into that a little bit too. We did get some news about a potential Witcher 4. Also, Usain Bolt, that's right, Usain Bolt, the speedrunner, sprinter, Olympian champion, whatever, I don't know. Olympian champion, I believe that's the term that they use, is now involved in esports in Ireland, of all places, and I believe, Kieran, you can fill me in on that. And Fortnite broke the rules of their own video game and got rid of building, but again, you're going to have to fill me in. That and much more on this week's episode of the Casual Game Cast. Do stick around. But before we get into all that, Kieran, how has your month been?
My month has been epic, but I'm also just after thinking of something very cool, and I would really like a section now called Fill Me In. We come up with a random section every week, or come to you with a new story that we haven't heard of, and it's just called the Fill Me In section, and I think that needs to be done now.
But spell PHIL or
yeah. And then we can get very philosophical every now and again or something, Anyway, month's been great, man. It's been real. It's been a while. Been very busy. Haven't been able to get in and chat to you, but it's been good.
Nice.
How's yours been keeping, my friend?
Yeah, not great. I was super sick for most of it. So I guess I'll start from the beginning. So we kind of postponed for a week or two to give ourselves some breathing room because I had taken on more responsibilities, and so had you, and so had Shane, and I'm sure Aaron found some other weird thing that he was getting himself up to. So we were all quite happy to take a week or two away. I'm only joking. Aaron keeps very busy, but that was fine. And then all of a sudden, I had applied for us to go to Comic-Con as a panel 4 months ago. So long ago, and I never got as much as a thank you, we've received your email, and this is not me lambasting anyone at Comic-Con, of course not. This is I guess it's kind of expected, but I was just kind of well, that nothing will ever come of this, I kind of assumed out of sight, out of mind, and lo and behold, just on the day before we were to record our next episode, I find in my separate inbox for Casual Game Content, which I rarely check because we rarely get emails, lo and behold, Comic-Con Dublin has not only agreed to have us there, but has assigned us a time and a day. And that day was 3 days from then.
It was great crack trying to like schedule and organize everything and be like, yeah, okay, right, I'll bring the mics, I'll bring the, we'll get it all working, we'll do that, you bring the camera, and yeah, we'll get that filmed. And I pretty much everything went as well as it could on the day, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and thank you for helping us out in terms of the equipment. Like, without that equipment, we would have been able to do the con, but we wouldn't have been able to record it. So you brought like literally 4 mics and an audio interface with you, and we were able to record that on your laptop. And it was perfect. But yeah, that was a great experience. It was a really weird experience though as well, because like I'd never done that before. I don't know if you've ever done like a panel type thing before.
Never done a panel type thing before, no.
Yeah, so like the guy that was on before us was like a Doctor Who expert or something, doing some kind of talk about Doctor Who, and he was a lovely guy, but he got kind of shafted a little bit because like
he got really shafted.
I was looking for the room.
Comic-Con, damn it, but I mean like Comic-Con, damn it, get your shit together.
And like again, not lambasting, because it's kind of like these guys were away for years and then this kind of happened up, and it's a great setup. Like the venue was really well laid out, apart from our room was fucking hidden. we had the biggest kind of conference room that you could imagine, and it was just like blocked off. The doors were closed and there was no like real indication of where it was meant to be, and the only place where there was a sign, they were kind of discouraging people from going through that door. And so like, the guy about Doctor Who had like 7 people maybe in front of him, and like I felt that bad for him, yet alone the fact we were up after him. I got up and I started like throwing open doors and calling people in. And like even the management were coming up to me at one point going like, oh, you can't do this in case there's a queue for fire. And I was like, what do you mean a queue? Nobody knows we're in here. And even if they did, it's not like they're going to queue for us. Like, But
well, I heard lots of rumblings from the crowd that they thought that you were Greg Miller, and that's why they came in, because we ended up getting quite a decent crowd by the end. And I was like, oh, if he's Greg Miller, does that mean like I'm like 2010 Damon Hetfield? We're like the power couple of IGN.
I think so. Yes, yeah. But yeah, like it was fun though. I will say that. Like it was fun to kind of be up on a stage, trying to. Listening back over it, I was probably a little bit too energetic, but like trying to keep that going, trying to like pull people in, a bit of pageantry, you know what I mean? Like it was nice. Also meeting you for the first time.
Yes. Oh my Jesus, that was actually the first time we had meeting, and I forgot about that. But it was good to see you. You're much taller in real life than I would have anticipated.
Yeah, and you're exactly as tall as I thought you were, which is quite tall.
Thank you.
But yeah,
I think you're taller than me. But anyway, we digress.
Well, first time I've met Petso and Dominion in person also.
Legends.
And then a couple of other people along the way, and it was lovely. Like, because we started CGC right as the pandemic hit, so never had an opportunity to meet anyone. But hey, we did it. It was good. I'd do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we'll get a chance. And then after that, I don't know whether it was because of Comic-Con or whether it was something directly after that, but I got progressively more sick that week, and I had to go to Dublin the following week for my sister's grad, which is a graduation, and I got like the worst chest infection of my life, and I tested myself every day because of the fact I was traveling to a university graduation. It's like, I'm not going to be the guy that poisons people. And I kept testing myself.
You wear anyway. Tut.
Yeah. No, but I think I did. I think I was patient zero, because I tested myself every day and it was negative. And I was like telling my family in WhatsApp every day, by the way, guys, I'm sick, but I think it's just sick. Here's my antigen tests. I'll test again in the morning. And then I tested again in the morning and I felt better. Not like fully better, but I felt better. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go up. Okay. So then we went and I came back and I just started feeling bad again. And I was like, oh crap, is that just because I traveled or did I pick up COVID? And I took a test and it was like red as like the ace of hearts. It was just red out, Oh crap. And then my partner got it after that. But then after reading into it, apparently the new variants, you can be sick for like a week before it shows.
Oh, no way, right?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. And then like my partner's had COVID positive antigen test for like 15 days now. It's gone out of control. It's broken the rules.
And how's she feeling actually? Is she alright?
Oh, she's grand now. Yeah, but she did have like a rough time of it, but like, apparently you're COVID positive for ages. Yeah, but that was my COVID adventure. Now I've got a little medal that tells me that I got COVID and I can join the legion of those who are as normal as everybody else. You know, I thought I was something special. I thought I was like Mr. Non-possible to get COVID. I thought I was like the Daywalker or something. I was like the Blade of COVID. No, I was not.
It got you. It gets everyone in the end. It does that. And you know what gets everyone?
Did you get
it? I got it ages ago. I got it from a mad wedding back home in Monaghan. My sister's on New Year's Eve. Oh man, like not only did the COVID spread to like 7 people I think got it in the end, but out of 25 whatever like we were allowed to, but like my mum broke her shoulder. Another person was hospitalized due to COVID. Grand now, so it's okay. And another person tore a ligament in their like leg from dancing. So basically we had 3 hospitalizations and like 7 cases of COVID. So like if we were to extrapolate the numbers out, I reckon from like the 300 that was initially planned to go to that wedding, we would have had a lot of people dead or something from it.
That is a mad wedding.
Yeah.
That is a mad wedding. The best one I've heard, and then we'll get into the games. Okay, is I heard a client story recently, and I won't name them, but they're a client that has an ampersand in their logo.
I love ampersands.
So love them. Can't get enough of them. Actually, there was a nightclub back in my hometown of Portlaoise, and it used to be like a ritual every Saturday night to try and rob the ampersand from the title of the nightclub. And it was up very high, and many people broke like collarbones and stuff trying to get this thing. But the ampersand of this particular client, or the kind of company corporate Christmas party, was fashioned out of ice. Okay, this happened like a month or 2 ago. Okay, and apparently the 120 odd residents that were there were all encouraged to come up to this ice ampersand, which could be the title of this podcast at this point, and were encouraged to drink shots from a luge that was cut into the curve of the ampersand. So you can imagine about 100 odd people coming up and putting their mouths on this ice and possibly their lips getting stuck to it, and all of the Jägermeister or whatever the hell is flowing down it, and they're all having a great time. Like 100 slobbery mouths all on one piece of ice.
Man, I don't even think I'd do that apart from COVID. Like if it was just like everyone going up.
I don't know. Like, at a certain point of the night with enough drink in me, I don't know.
Sorry, that is true. Yeah.
It's like, well, it's all well and good sitting here in this chair, but I don't know. But yeah, like apparently 70% of the office called in sick the next day, unsurprisingly. Or like in the next week, I should say. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, enough COVID. We've dealt with it. The elephant in the room has been shot. It's fine. Let's move the hell on and talk about some games. So, in the stinger that hasn't been heard in a very long time, my lovely boys who edit this podcast, will you please play that thing?
Alright, stranger. What are you playing?
So, it's been a long time since I've asked anyone on this podcast, but Kieran, what have you been playing?
I have been playing not a lot actually, because I've been so busy, but in the time that I have actually been playing, I've played a lot, if that makes sense. So I've only got to play about 4 or 5 hours maybe over the last couple of weeks, which is unfortunate. But I did get a chance to play Rainbow Six Siege to grind up my rank a bit, which has been terrible because I've gotten up and then get down and up and down because some of the lads haven't been on, so it's just like still leveling around the silver 2 place, and I want to get up to gold 3 again because that's where I started the season, and I want to go back up to gold 1, which is kind of like where I was at my highest. But anyway, all that kind of talk aside about my performance in video games, I have also been playing Horizon Forbidden West, which has taken me ages. I'm about 30 hours in now. Mixed feelings about it, to be fair, actually, which is odd.
Yeah, me too.
It's just, I don't know, is it as good as the first one? Is it enough like the first? I don't know, there's just something about it that's kind of like, I preferred the first one. And then also started dipping into Ark, which you caught me on last night, and you were like, oh, you play Ark, which is fondly addicting from only playing like about 2 hours. That I was like, this is like grown up Minecraft. And then lastly, because I wanted to try
You're
it.
just flying through them, aren't you?
I am, yeah. Just because I had loads, and I was like, I'm just gonna crank through it. I've been playing the update, the controversial and also very welcomed by most of the community update to Fortnite, which is the Fortnite no builds mode, which we can talk about a bit later if you'd like, or we can talk about it now or whenever you'd like. But it's quite fun actually, and it's the first time I played Fortnite in about 4 years. So
Yeah. No, that sounds like I'll probably get your opinions on Horizon. All right, but like the Fortnite thing is interesting. So like, it is just a standard battle royale game.
Pretty much a standard battle royale now. It kind of has some of the movement of.
It's just like
Warzone.
PUBG.
Yeah, I suppose it's kind of like in essence most like PUBG, but then like it's kind of taken elements from obviously like its competitors or whatever over the last while. So like it's got zip lines now, like COD. It's got a better sliding mechanic than COD, so it's more like Apex in the slide. It's just like it's kind of cherry picked all the best bits from those battle royales.
It really has, yeah.
And I don't know, it's actually quite fun, and I think I'm going to see if I can get some of the lads back in there to play, because I've just been solo queuing, and although I'm like getting high kill games, like I'm getting, well, I mean like low high kill games, I'm like only getting like 10 kills a game, whatever, like, so it's not like, you know, wiping half the lobby or whatever, but for me it's quite good considering I haven't played Fortnite in ages. And yeah, it's oddly weird because you come up to like the last 3 to 5 whatever, and it's just happened me so much that like I'm just getting absolutely nailed by a couple of people. I'm like, damn, I need to get into a squad here and just you know, like actually get the boys back together so I can get a few wins here. And then like, because quick drop, there is Air Legion, you know, Cup featuring Fortnite coming up again, and that, this is actually like a cheeky announcement just for like a few people who's listening or whatever, like, because it hasn't been officially announced, which is the next week, but it's going to be no bills for the competitive kind of, you know, grand or whatever to win. So I'm just going to see if I can enter that and go up against some of the Fortnite kids. But yeah, very actually interestingly fun, which I didn't think the core mechanic from a game could be removed and still be as interesting. It'd be like kind of like, you know, Mass Effect, maybe like one of the core things about that is the conversations and stuff. It'd be like they take that out and it's still like the same game that's just as fun and stuff. It'd be odd.
Well, like it's not, because, and not to discount your point, but like the way that I've been thinking about it is, like, the reason Fortnite is Fortnite, the reason I had building was because it was a completely different game before it was a free to play battle royale. You know, it was a building game. It started off as a building game, and then they saw what PUBG was doing and the failure that was Fortnite, and went, well, let's make it a battle royale and just see what happens. Yeah. And now it's a juggernaut. But like, hilariously, like the controversy at that time was, they ripped off PUBG, which was popular at the time, and then they took their thunder, and now they're like taking mantling from Call of Duty, and they're taking sliding from Apex, and they've really just taken everything and went, to hell with it, we're that big now, we don't even need that thing that separated us from the pack before and won us the lawsuits of like, no, we're a completely different game. Do you have building? No, we have building. You know, it's like, no, we don't need that shit anymore.
I mean, so in there are still like some modes, like the competitive servers, so like for any of the esports, whatever, there is actually still building in those modes, but like the main modes,
absolutely,
and it's not a limited time mode. It seems to be here to stay forever, which is just like really fascinating, because it makes it more of an easier playing field, or like a level playing field.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I'm hearing.
It's
like,
such a skill.
The first thing was, I'm like, when be back. The first thing around that was like when it was announced, like every media publication was like, they're removing building from Fortnite, and it looks like they're doing it forever. You know, it was like everyone was jumping on the bandwagon of like, Fortnite is changing 100% forever, and this is the end. There's no going back to building. It's gone, you know. And it's like, I highly doubt that, but okay. I assumed it was like a season gimmick or whatever. I'm glad to hear that's coming in as a mode forever. That's where you want to be, I think, you know. And like, I'm hearing from people my age that are like, I'm good at Fortnite again. Yeah. You know, where they're like, the kids aren't building towers around me and getting out of hairy situations, you know, like I'm just able to shoot kids. And like, apparently kids are really good at the Minecraft element of it, but not so good at the Call of Duty end of it.
Yeah, and that's what I've been feeling too.
It's like,
it's even like watching, let's say, like the competitive servers, like obviously like again dropping Legion here, but watching those esports series, you see all these people and they are incredible at building, and they have such like intricate minds in the builds and their knowledge and map awareness nearly of like where everything is happening and where everyone is. But then when it comes down to actually landing a couple of shots, sometimes they're just terrible. And like, sorry, but okay, that's obviously very, very rough. But I mean, like in terms of like having played COD for so long, like, you're able to track and shoot and aim and recoil control and everything, like, which just seems to be different with Fortnite, because it's supposed to be good at Fortnite. You need to build really well and then hopefully get a couple of shotgun blasts off once you get into the box. So it's more like a strategy game than a shoot game.
Yeah, so that's Fortnite. I want to try it. I do want to try it. I might pick it up on the Switch again. Because I found it was nice to dick around in the Switch version when I'm going to bed, and I just want to see what's going on.
Yeah, I get what
because I know I'm not going to spend a lot of time in there, so like, yeah, it's a good time to do it. But yeah, what I want to ask you about though is because you just like went, I played this and this and this and this and this and this, and I'm just trying to remember what you played. And I encourage that, by the way. I encourage the fact that we're making this a nice spelt podcast, but I did want to catch you on Horizon.
Yes.
So, I also played Horizon, and when we dive into what I've been playing, you will know I had COVID because I had a lot of time that I got to play video games, because like I don't like watching TV when I'm sick. I do if I can. If I'm too weak or something to play a game, like obviously I won't.
I feel the
same.
same.
But like for the most part, I like to be distracted. You know, and I'm sitting at this exact chair in this desk with the monitor in front of me playing something as I'm just like, and it's great. So I got to knock out a couple of games, and one of them was Horizon. Now, I'm not going to spoil the end for you, but even at the 30-hour mark, I was of the same mind. I was kind of like, I don't know what it is, but there's something about this game that I can't quite put my finger on that I'm not enjoying. You know, there was something about it. And I remember I felt the same way with the first one when it first came out.
Interesting.
And then on revisiting it, like on revisiting it, like because I played through like half of it and I put it down, and then I played through the other half of it like about a year later, and I enjoyed that a lot more. And I don't know why that was. Maybe I just needed more time away. But then let me impart one piece of wisdom on you after coming out the far end of it. I think it's very similar to why the second half of the first Horizon is better than the first half. Although, at least in the first half of the first Horizon, which is hard to say, you had a very interesting story premise where it was kind of like, oh, okay, I'm stringing you along a bit. You're learning the character. This, not so much. But I would push to the end of the story ASAP.
Okay.
Like, the second you're leveled up at all to go, just go. Because it doesn't close it off afterwards. You can come back and do whatever you want to do. But you unlock a lot of things that make the game better by going through the story. It unlocks all those like cool gadgets and a very, very interesting mode of transportation. I'll just leave it at that. But it makes the entire game way more playable.
Okay.
And once you hit that kind of point at the end of the story, you're like, why wasn't most of this in the beginning of the game? I would have loved to have had this at the beginning of the game. But yeah, stick it through. I would definitely finish it. But much like you, after finishing it, I'm kind of like, you know, and I won't spoil the ending for you, but even the ending was a bit like,
I actually spoiled the ending myself because I was like, oh, what's going on in this? I want to find out. I don't care, because I'm the kind of person who doesn't really care about spoilers at all, so I do know like pretty much exactly what happens. But
okay,
yeah,
right, but we won't spoil it for the viewers.
Yeah,
but even the listeners. But the the premise of what they set up being like, and again, it's a new game. I'm not going to ruin it for you, but you're kind of like, after the first game, you're like, well, where could they go from there? And then they go somewhere, and it's like initially intriguing. You're like, oh, okay, that's a bit weird, but okay, I'm into this. And then they kind of like stumble it a bit, and it's just kind of farts and fizzles out in the end. It's kind of like, the third game looks like it's going to be interesting, I guess. You know? But like, yeah, I was expecting a bit more. But like visually, it's phenomenal. Like it's a fantastic looking game.
Yeah, I agree with you there too, but the thing that's kind of getting me is I think some of the traversal stuff, and I know they've tried to make it more accessible, and I do use it with the yellow. I know there's just something about it that I feel a bit like floaty, Like it's like my sense of weight just seems a bit odd, and I usually get that whenever I start a new console generation. So maybe it's just that needs to kind of, people have to figure out, I don't know, like the ins and outs of game dev. But like whenever I played Uncharted 4 and like going from Uncharted 3, because I played all the Uncharteds kind of in a row because I didn't have a PS3, PS4, whatever for a good while, and then I went from playing Uncharted 3, which felt quite stable and structured, to Uncharted 4, and I was like, oh my god, like I feel like a rag doll. And then just got used to PS4, like, you know, so obviously like all the rest of the games kind of just felt that little bit more, I don't know, yet structured or something, or stable in terms of movement. And also kind of felt it with Mass Effect Andromeda as well, just like the weird kind of movement. And they were all early gen games. So I'm wondering if that's just like, if it's the new, like, you know, the new gen and just getting used to the kind of the way it's running.
No, like it's a massive problem, I think. Like it's what everyone kind of assumed after the first game got its lunch eaten by Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And we seen that this game had a glider, and we're just like, ooh, they've learned lessons from that other game that ate their lunch, and I'm assuming the climbing will be better, and I'm assuming this will be better. And they didn't really improve anything.
I
like
agree.
there's little like nuances that are better, like the lighting system on the rock edge, so at least you know without painting it white what is climbable, and that's optional, you know. And then like just little bits and bobs and better upgrades and whatever. But like the game, the core game is the fucking same one from 2016.
I kind of like that, and I don't mind that. I actually don't, because I did enjoy that core game from 2016.
You say that,
but it's just...
But you say that, but then you're saying the movement feels sluggish, and that's the same movement is what I'm saying.
Oh no, I feel like the movement feels different. It feels like it doesn't have the same sense of weight or something. And it's different. I just don't understand it when I'm playing it. I need to play a bit more of it, I think, and then I'll come to a consensus. But I feel like
maybe.
Like, I think the first one was kind of better in that sense. So
I think overall it was, and
like I am enjoying my time, but also like the craft and stuff. I'm like I used to have like inventory management in games. For me is like, I'm very obsessive about it, and there's just something about this game where I'm like, I actually don't care what I craft or what I make anymore, because it just seems a bit over the place. There's something about it. I don't like the inventory management, and I don't like the crafting system, because there's so much of it. And
absolutely,
what's the last thing?
The inventory management, the crafting for weapons in particular was really badly implemented, because like it like stores them all in your inventory, and they're like, oh, but if you upgrade it, like it's going to be a little bit more powerful. And in order for me to upgrade any weapon, I have to scroll through all the ones I've picked up over the last 60 hours, and it's only the ones that are fucking orange that's going to make any difference to me, that I should be pumping my resources into. So like, why am I still looking at this stupid green bow I got in the first hour of the game? And why did you ask me to put resources into this thing? Because like I have like so many green things in my save file that are fully upgraded, thinking that I get something out of this. No, just ignore them. Just ignore them until you can find a place to get the good armor or whatever.
And the only thing that I do find about it is that because they've changed kind of how the ammo types work with everything as well, you kind of need to keep them, because if you want to switch to like, I don't know, like the acid damage or whatever, like that, and your better weapon doesn't have acid, then I mean, like, you're kind of screwed. So I don't know, something about it is just like, oh, it feels like a pain and a slug to just have to like go through your inventory the whole time and check things. And I wish they kind of made it a little bit more accessible from that kind of point of view. Obviously they've done wonders for accessibility. I have heard from a few people in that community as well that it needs to be, or there was still some parts, like they consulted, there's a guy on TikTok, I think he's kind of like part of like a nearsighted community, or he hasn't got full visual impairing, maybe is the right word. And he was saying he was consulted in the game to help them make it as accessible as possible, but there's still stuff they could have done that just didn't get around to, whatever. Also in general, I mean, like, I don't know if you saw, I put up a tweet when I was playing a while back, and it just seems a bit buggy at times. I know there's been a couple of updates. I need to get another, the newest update I think came out yesterday, the day before, from when we're recording this, and need to get that updated and check it out and stuff, because apparently you can, like, you don't have to bend over to pick up flowers and stuff anymore, which is obviously a big bonus because it makes resource gathering a bit better. But sorry, my point is that just some of the times that some of the machines just decide to sit there and do nothing and don't attack me but sit in 1 HP, so no matter how much I hit them, it just doesn't kill them.
I did see that tweet actually.
And it was just so like, obviously the easy fix was just run away and come back and do the encounter all over again. But it's like, I've done this, I don't want to repeat it.
But you see stuff like that all the time in like open world games. Like Grand Theft Auto has those, and like, you know, and Skyrim, like any of them, they have those moments, and they come with that package a little bit. And sometimes I'm willing to forgive it. But like, there was weird things in Horizon, and I remember like I was kind of falling in midair an awful lot. Like I jump in between two rocks and I'm just like, and I can't do anything. Or like, you know, I'd go and clearly press to jump away from the rock and she wouldn't. She'd go the opposite direction. You know, like Assassin's Creed wrong jump direction problem, that type of stuff. But the biggest problem I had with it, and we'll move on to the next thing then, is and it's the same problem I have with the next game I'm going to talk about, not necessarily the next game, but the one after that, is and I'll be very brief on those, is that the graphics options are not great, and it's something that is annoying me about the PS5 generation.
It's really annoying me now.
It's annoying me even more because my beef with this is that, like, when you're playing it in the quality mode, it's 30 frames a second. And that is just not acceptable to me. I just don't want to play that way. I am not saying you can't play a good game like that. I know you can. But for God's sake, like, can we not set the baseline here to 60, which is, when you have those two options, I know which one feels better, you know? But then when you go for 60, which is the performance mode, I don't mind the graphical stuff they need to pull back. I'm perfectly fine with that. In the next game, I'll explain that even further. But like, there's some weird graphical stuff going on, and there's like a weird shimmering that gets introduced, and so like you're looking at grass and stuff, and it's like, it's almost like it's hard to describe. You see it an awful lot in like retro game emulation and stuff, where it's like the pixels are just kind of like not sitting well on top of each other, and they create this kind of weird shimmery effect. And there's like, it's all over that game because there's so many little detailed grass filaments and things on people's shirts and whatever, and it just looks like shit. And it's just like, did you not playtest this and see this is what you're introducing and making it look bad, you know? And it's, but like, my biggest problem with that is we aren't even in the PS5 generation yet. This is a PS4 game that has been optimized for PS5. Why can't that run at 60 frames a second in the 4K mode? There's a 4K mode on PS4 that runs at 30 frames a second. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't get it. But yeah, the other game I was dancing around there was Elden Ring. I started that, and it's funny that another game came out and ate Horizon's lunch the week it came out. Literally. But that's a fantastic game. It's great. The only problem is, again, the graphics settings are garbage. And the PS5 version, if you buy it digitally, you get access to the PS4 version, and thank God, because it's the only way I could get 60 frames a second out of the goddamn game was to play the PS4 version on a PS5. Because the quality mode is 30, and it doesn't hold at 30 on the PS5, and then the performance one is like 40 to 60, and it's all over the place. And then the PS4 version with like less grass is 60, and it's beautiful. It runs beautifully. It's something to behold, and it's like, I know we're only 2 years into the life cycle, but the promise of the PS5 and Xbox was that we have everything in 60 frames a second, and they did bat around an awful lot of 4K 60 frames a second bullshit. I'm not making that up. Like, this was promised to us in some way, and we all kind of were skeptical about that, but this is just disappointing. These games are coming out like this, you know? But yeah, that's that. And just to tie it all up, the reason I started playing Elden Ring was because in my sickness I finally beat Demon Souls, which is an example of a Souls-like on a PS5 that runs buttery smooth in 4K, and it is glorious. I love that game so much. I'm so happy I finally beat it. And that's my frame rate banter discussion, or ranter, I suppose, discussion over with. Shall we jump into some news?
We shall.
Talk about what interesting things might have happened since we last talked, and then we'll bounce. Yeah? Okay? Cool. Guys, if you wouldn't mind, play that thing.
News.
Now, what is in the news? I kind of flicked through this list, Kieran, and I kind of went, I went to Game Informer and I went to other reputable gaming websites. You know, your Kotaku's, your Game Brands, your whatevers. Okay, and I just kind of wanted to cherry pick some stuff. I didn't want to like do an exhaustive thing. I think that's kind of just the way to go. I'm just going to go and pick out whatever interests me, and you guys tell me what interests you, and maybe the community tells us what they'd like to hear. You know, all good. But the first thing that jumped out at me,
yes,
and we won't spend long on this, is apparently Monkey Island is getting a new official installment in the original series of games, and it's being developed by, or I guess in cooperation with, Ron Gilbert, who is an absolute industry legend. You kind of mentioned to me in the green room, Monkey Island, you're not like too familiar. Is that right?
Not very familiar at all. Have also not played any of them, but I might give this a go now whenever it comes out. But I have heard of Ron Gilbert, just obviously from being in the industry and stuff. But yeah, wouldn't have a huge pile of knowledge around this area.
No, and I understand why. It's a different era.
Yeah,
you know?
it's just completely
different. I would recommend. I know, yeah. I would recommend going check out the remaster of the first one. Yeah. It's on Steam. It's really good. It's like I only played through it again recently, and it's really cheap and it's really funny still. It's pretty good.
Nice.
The original one can be hard to get into if you don't have that nostalgia, but the remaster has a lovely art style and it's pretty easy. But yeah, apparently that's coming back with the series creator, one of the series creators in tow. It's interesting to see this. I listen to a lot of podcasts that are like gaming history related, like the Gaming History Foundation's podcast and a couple of others here and there. And Ron Gilbert has been popping up in places, and like he is mostly known for these Monkey Island games and whatever. But like, it is interesting that like, okay, this has been going on a while, obviously, like, you know, because he's getting out there, he's getting the name recognition built back up, it almost seems, and rightfully so, and I'm delighted to see him back. But yeah, I can't wait to see this. I'm going to be watching this very closely myself, and I'm going to be encouraging people to jump back into the Monkey Island series, like I will be too. But I will give you one piece of advice. Anyone at home, if you're interested in playing Monkey Island and you see the words Telltale next to the game, they're not the games you want. They're a Telltale series about Monkey Island, and they're no bueno.
Interesting.
Go find the original games. The big news story, I guess, that happened since we last talked, one of the big news stories, is Sony and their unveiling of their Game Pass competitor, which is, let me just read the notes, PlayStation Plus options that combine Plus and Now together. It's kind of still called PlayStation Plus, but now it's 3 tiers.
To me, and I do have a lot of kind of feelings about this, not a Game Pass competitor. And I think most people, that's kind of like the general consensus from everyone. So I'm not saying anything new here that's going to get turned into a TikTok. But what does get me about it is that it's
you never know.
It's just the same thing, but just repriced and stacked at 3 different levels. Yeah, I know, like PS1, PS2, it's finally back, great. But should we be paying more for that? Or should that just be another part of PlayStation?
Absolutely not.
Do you know?
No, absolutely not. There's a couple of things in this, like, so it's broken out into 3 tiers. You have your PlayStation Plus Essential, which is the PlayStation Plus you have today. You get 2 free games a month or whatever, free in parentheses, and you get your online functionality. Then you have the PlayStation Plus Extra, which is the second tier pricing, which is about another €5 to €6, and that gives you essentially the PS Now service, which is like your game streaming and game downloading, similar to Game Pass Vanilla. That PlayStation has been offering, and not a lot of people have been singing about it. Like it's a very similar option to Game Pass in theory. You know, it has a library of games you can download, you can stream. But people don't really care because they're not putting as much effort into the games.
In fairness,
and then of course you have that.
I have used PlayStation Now and in its current state a good bit. Maybe over lockdown, whenever I was like, oh, I don't really want to buy any new games, there's nothing that's like good, but I go into back catalogue, and sometimes I've picked out bits and be like, oh, that's pretty good. But yeah, nothing to the level of Game Pass. But go ahead, Phil. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. And the last tier is PlayStation Plus Premium, which, as you mentioned, has all of the above plus retro games. So like the issue with their PlayStation Now subscription, and it seems as if they're not going to help this out anytime soon, is Game Pass was a brand new creation by Microsoft.
Yeah.
And they were fighting a losing battle when they created it. And they have one of the biggest wallets in the world.
Yes.
So they threw money at it and went, give us these amazing titles day one. Give us these amazing titles for an extended period of time. Let's buy up a load of studios and let's kind of make this a loss leader and just simply offer this service where you get the games the day they release under our umbrella. Day one, day and date, you've already kind of paid for them. And they're just there.
Yeah.
And considering they now own Bethesda and, you know, they have so many other big corporations underneath their umbrella, that's a lot of day one games.
It's a lot of day one games.
It's a lot. And the thing is, PlayStation, they're not coming from like a loss leader perspective. They're coming at it from where we're winning. Like, we've got the better games that people want to play. Why would we want to make a loss on any of this? Do you know? And in a way, they're right. But unfortunately, Microsoft have just kind of backed them into a corner where unless we start getting a comparable service to the business model that seems like it can't really sustain itself, which is Game Pass, you're always going to look at it and go, well, Game Pass is just like inarguably better, even though at its core it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, Jim Ryan coming out and saying no day one releases as well for future PS exclusive games is kind of a wow. Yeah, they know that they have the better catalog of games, which I think is unarguable. Like, you know, like Sony does have the better first party games right now.
Yeah. Until, you know,
Yeah.
whatever comes out in 12 months and all that kind of crack or whatever. You know, once
Absolutely.
Bethesda
Like when
starts churning out their stuff and all the bloody purchases that they made.
Exactly. Like Starfield and Avowed coming out of Bethesda soon, day one on Game Pass.
Like that's probably going to make
you know,
it
like
Series X, if not a big gaming PC where it can also get Microsoft products and Xbox products. You know what I mean?
And you should. I put it into our community, our casual game content. Let's say admins Discord there today. That was like, apparently Game Pass are going to be doing a family plan soon.
Oh, yes.
Pretty much the same as what the Switch does. Like, I would be happy to float the CGC family account for Game Pass.
Yeah, no,
but none of you guys but none of you guys have Xboxes. So
well,
it's
I
like,
do PC.
oh.
You know,
well, that's true.
Not a gaming PC, but I can run stuff with like the worst graphics and stuff, which I likely be doing.
You could play Age of Empires 2 like once, and that'll be worth my €15 a month.
I do also have an Xbox upstairs. It's not a Series S or X, but I am seriously considering getting an X. But I just don't know whether I'm going to get an X PC. But that's a different conversation altogether. Because one's very expensive, but not really if you think about it, and then the other one's just like expensive enough, but then like, maybe, I don't know, hard to get. Console, PC, la 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 la.
Yeah, it's a tricky road. It's a tricky road. The only other thing I wanted to say about this PS Plus thing is there's a huge level of like ennui in my heart about this. Like I'm kind of depressed a little bit about it. I'm also feeling like backhanded a little bit by it because
similar.
I love retro games. Like, I love retro games. Actually, I'm selling my CRT.
Oh.
I realized there recently I had to move some stuff, and it took me like half a day to move it. I was like, oh, okay, right. I just wanted to put it up. I put it up on adverts, and I got like the same amount that I put into it back. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. It's just too much. It's just too big to move around in a flat. You know what I mean? But it's fun. It's fun while I had it. But the thing that I'm kind of feeling backslapped about here is the retro games part. That being on the top tier, it's the hypocrisy of this. Like, Jim Ryan came out and went, when he was asked about the backwards compatibility of Xbox and why PlayStation doesn't have it, he specifically turned to the cameras and went, nobody wants to play old games. We looked at the numbers. Nobody wants to play older video games. I was like, well, then why are you charging the highest tier
Do you think
for just that?
Do you think that's some sort of weird like reverse psychology? Like, we know everyone's going to buy it, but we're going to say this to rile you up to make things in social media to get more scale with everything, and then it'll eventually just make everyone buy everything at the highest rate. Because I'm 100% going to buy that.
See,
highest.
like,
I know I complained about it.
That's like.
But I will.
That's like Dickensian levels of like of villainy, though. That's like, you know, I don't care about our corporation. I want to see people squirm. Like, a part of me wants to say, yeah, you're probably right. But realistically, I'd say they've looked at numbers and went, oh no, fuck it, people actually do want this. How can we get money out of that? You know, like, it's kind of. I think that's very tactical. Like, I think that could have been level 2. You know, where you get PS Plus. And for an extra $5, you get all these retro games. And then for like an extra $10 on top of PS Plus, you get that plus now. You know, like, I think that model might have been a little bit easier to swallow. Or maybe if they were like separate bundles, like you get a bundle, like you buy a €5 add-on, you get this, or you get this. But like, the fact that they placed it right at the end just says to me that, like, okay, they know people are willing to fork up. Because like, you don't want people buying anything but the ultimate package.
Yeah.
Like, that's why Game Pass Ultimate has EA access, it has game streaming, it has PC streaming, it has, you know, PC game access, it has like bang, like I think it has like vouchers at the moment for Marvel online comic reader. Like, it's huge, you know. And but they're really incentivizing you to go for the biggest package. Like, Sony obviously are doing that too, so I don't know, like, it's weird. But then what makes me feel sad is when the PS5 was being released, there was patents going around, and the patents were around hardware that can run PS1, PS2, PS3, and PS4 discs and run the software they're in. And they were true patents. Like, these were chased, they were entertained. And I always thought, one of these days they're just figuring out the infrastructure. One of these days they're going to release this functionality. And no, like, if they're doing this service, clearly it's only ever going to be downloaded. Yeah. It's just, you know, whatever. But like, it's such a pain in the ass. But do you think it's weird that you can't download PS3
I was
games
just about to say that. I don't know what kind of a monster of a thing the PS3 was. I mean, like, I know, like, at the time it was the most expensive and everything, but why can't you play the games? I mean, like, you develop the games initially. Surely you can figure out how to bloody, you know, make them run on the new console. Especially because you can do PS1, PS2.
The cell processor, yeah.
Oh my god.
It's mad. And like, that's the only one that you have to stream it. So do you think that there's like a warehouse somewhere with like 4 million PS3s turned on? That like, when you jack on, it just puts you into them. Just like some old man just like, you know, running around, just banging them every so often to go, come on! Come on, play Hellblade!
It's down to kill Shamash, you know? He's like, it's like a cow. It's like, on now, PS3.
Oh, dear God. There's 14 people trying to play Mag at once. Oh no. But yeah, no, it's a weird situation, man. I don't know. Like, PlayStation are kind of selling. They're bringing themselves down a primrose path here. That, like, it's hubris on top of things a little bit too. You know, like, they're doing that. We're winning as a gaming console, so we don't need to explain ourselves. Path that always ends up bad, no matter who takes it.
Yeah. I will give you
so we'll see.
One last take on it as well is that I'm pretty sure, and I'm not going to quote anyone because I just don't know who I heard it from, what podcast, but whatever it was, but I think he came out also, this is Jim Ryan, to say that, like, they will look at the future at day one games, but presently he just, like, doesn't think that, no, like, that it's going to work, whatever, and he was like, it might change in the future, but this is where we are now. So they very might well come out with day one games in the future in a couple of years if they're like, okay, well, no one's really adopted this and let's give them something to adopt. But sure, they are gonna, like, be timed, so you, like, maybe after a year or whatever, you can get, like, the first party games, or 6 months or a month or whatever it's gonna be.
So this is the thing.
Will that
I think that's more
themselves?
likely.
Are people gonna have the psychology of, like, oh, well, I'm just gonna get that game in a year and I don't really want to get that, I prefer to get this other game, which maybe is third party instead of first party, and save their monthly money for, you know, whatever. You know, is this absolutely just delay the inevitable?
See, it would if it was like Microsoft that did that. We'd all wait a year to play Halo or Forza or whatever. But when God of War comes out, people are going to buy it. You know, like, that's, people aren't going to want to wait a year to play it.
See, I'm always kind of in the way of thinking, yes, God of War, yes, okay, but for something like, let's say, Deathloop, which I'm not sure if the sales figures having a look about it, but a game like that which doesn't have an established brand, it's not.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, will people just like wait the year? Then for something like Halo,
well, I'm doing that right now.
Yeah,
I'm doing that right now until it comes onto Xbox. Like,
and then you said for like Halo and for like, you know, Forza even to a lesser extent, but definitely Halo. Is there an essence there of like, because that's day one and it's so accessible to everyone in an Xbox and it's locked to the Xbox and it's first day of release and all that kind of crack? Is there the network effect of like, oh, my mate's got that, so I need to play that? Do you know what I mean? Like, so like everyone gets in. It's the network effect of getting everyone in there to actually play, as opposed to a single player first party fully immersive experience, rather than the multiplayer aspect, you know. So I'm kind of wondering then, like, is it the right strategy?
Probably not. And I don't know. Like, long story short, I think that PlayStation can never really meet the expectation of Game Pass. Game Pass is too big of a juggernaut with everything that they offer, with everything that they've done, and they have too much money to throw at it. Like, Sony's biggest earner right now is PlayStation, so at the end of the day, it's not like they have other avenues that they can pull as heavily from anymore. Like, they've got to lean into their value proposition, I guess. I do know that Jim Ryan had said that, you know, who knows what the future will bring, but I know that what they're saying for right now is you don't want us to do day one release because it will compromise the quality of our games, and that's not what gamers want. It was a good way of putting that, like, no, we're not doing this and you don't want us to, kind of.
Yeah, I do understand.
But yeah, it is what it is. But let's move on.
That is also make your day one a different day one, so it's all fixed. But anyway, let's move on.
Absolutely. But it was a good excuse, let's say. The other big, let's say, subscription news in the news was Rockstar. The Rockstar have had GTA Online on the go since the year I moved to Cork. It was about 2012, 2013, give or take. Yeah. I remember it vividly. I remember it coming out a month after the game released, and I remember it being buggy as all hell. I remember me and my buddy boosting cars and using a weird glitch to duplicate them and sell them and making millions and getting our accounts banned from Rockstar Online. It was a good time. And then over the years, I spent a lot more time in a genuine account. And I've always like advocated that it's a fantastic game, but it just had a lot of waiting around and a lot of loading times. But like, for what you could do in one game, it was really robust, you know? So they leaned into that. Then, of course, this is why we haven't seen a new GTA in so long, or even DLC for the first one 11 years ago. But because of this, it is still around. It has recently released on the Xbox and PS5. I don't know about you, but I've tried it out on PS5. It looks quite nice.
I dipped into it too.
But it's still the same game, you know. But they made the multiplayer free to play. Yeah. So everybody can play that, whether you have the game or not. And it seems like in order to prop that up, which they didn't say until recently, they're offering, I should say, a subscription model. Similar to your WoW, similar to your... Well, a WoW is actually an access fee, so that's not the same. But similar to any game in which you pay a little bit of money to get a boost up on the free-to-play guys. And it seems as if it's not just cosmetic. Do you know the way a lot of these things are like, you know, you pay money in and it's the same game everybody else is playing, but like, you know, oh, you get a little boost here, or you get like, you know, a new hat, whatever it is. Yeah. This is like, no. These are like gameplay boosts, and this is going to make you a kind of a little bit less of a target than the guy that's coming in here, Joe Sub, just building up his money in you know, missions and what have you. I don't want to get too much into the weeds of it, but it is literally like a little bit of boost of money when you join online, access to other missions that people who don't pay don't get. It seems as if they're superficial for now, but who knows. Access to items that your freebies won't be able to access, as well as properties. And on top of all that, it seems as if you'll be able to access the ability to be able to give them more money, which is like, today you can buy shark cards, which is like your purchase of $1 million in GTA bucks for like 15 quid, whatever it is. By having this subscription, you now get unlocked the bigger shark cards, not for free, but that you can still give them more money for. But because you were already paying them money, they're giving you an opportunity to give them even more money than the average person. It's so bizarre.
It makes sense though. I mean, like, you have to pay me to give me money. You understand that?
You have to pay me in order to have the privilege to give me more money than the person who doesn't pay me monthly. It's like, what? Again, hubris a little bit here, I think, is coming into play. But no, this is crazy. And honestly, like, my only feelings about all this is, don't hate the player, hate the game. People are going to, you know, buy this subscription, and it's going to be a great success. I'm sure people live in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
But for me personally, it soured me a little bit on that game, and I don't think I'm going to be as confident about the fact, like, if this is going to be like a staple thing for Grand Theft Auto, I'm not really as excited for Grand Theft Auto 6 anymore. You know, like,
True.
That online was fantastic when it launched, and it's remained fantastic for 10 years, and now they're like nickel and diming us 11 years in.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, this should be the time where they make everything free. They go like, fuck it, like, we're announcing a new one in like 6 months time. Fuck it, make all the rockets free and make everything mad. Let's get everyone in here. Come on, let's open the doors. You know? But instead they're nickel and diming. It's like, what the hell?
I mean, you kind of look at it as well from the likes of the remaster, which we kind of talked a good bit about back when it came out. I don't did not care anymore that it's gone money hungry. You know, who knows? Also, if there was like a forensic accountant, would they be like, new one's Rockstar again, 2K? Maybe like 2K is having issues and they need to generate money through their cash cow. I'd
say so. I'd say there's an element to that, because like a lot of the original, you know, bigwigs of Rockstar are now gone. Like your Hauser brothers and stuff, they're gone. So like, is this a case of like, well, there is nobody of the old stock there to like stand up and say no anymore? Yeah. You know, like,
just like really commercial.
Maybe this is
now. So
yeah. Like maybe they're just super shareholder focused now. You know, they're just like, well, 2K is saying this and I'm a brand new CEO, you know. Yeah. It's like, you know, whatever. But yeah, we can speculate all day long, but long story short, it is pretty insidious. And I don't like it, sir. I do not like it. One thing I do like though is a bit of Witcher. Personally.
I haven't got to play it yet,
and
I heard the news.
It does seem as if we're getting a new one, which is nice.
Yes, I just want to see more Yennefer.
She's like a kind of a fantasy version of your Mass Effect lady.
Yeah.
What was her name again?
Miranda Lawson. My mug actually
Miranda,
broke.
yeah.
I had to super glue it, so I can't use it.
No!
I still have it here. It's super glue back together, but I can't use it now just in case it breaks more. And yeah.
All right, so it's gone from being a vessel to being an heirloom.
Yes, and that heirloom will stay forever. Anyway. Go on ahead.
Yeah, so CD Projekt released a picture showing a medallion in the snow, indicating that yes, they are making another Witcher game, even though before Cyberpunk came out and landed like a wet fart, they had said that they were done with the Witcher franchise. So interesting, first of all, that they're going back to the well, and I kind of assumed that they would. After the horrendous launch, I think they kind of just wanted something different. They wanted to move away. They left Geralt's story really nicely tied up in the third one, and I'm assuming this new one won't have anything to do with him, if at all. But I think that they wanted to like make a clean break with Cyberpunk, and now they're just like, right, well, we've screwed our reputation. Let's go back to the thing people love and build that back up again. But the interesting thing about it is that it does show a different kind of pendant, so that you might not notice, but the pendants are what the Witchers wear, and it indicates the school where they were taught. And Geralt wears a wolf head. This appears to be, and has been confirmed to be, a Lynx, which is not a school that has been in the games, and in fact was a fan favorite theory school that was retroactively added in the last DLC as a kind of a passing mention in Witcher 3, and now it seems is going to get like a full-fledged game, which is like 100% indicating that new Witchers, you know, new story, probably brand new protagonists. So like, it's going to be really interesting, because like 90% of the reason people love that game, maybe not 90%, but it's the story, and Geralt is right in the middle of that, and he's a really good character. So like, if they don't nail this new person, which they didn't, I suppose, for the first 2 Witcher games, really. But like, if they don't nail him, him or her or them, for this one, it's going to be a hard sell. But interesting to see that they're back on that property.
Yeah. Hopefully they can recover from their
better.
cyberpunk days, because it would be nice to see them do well. And I haven't actually got back into see. There was an update for cyberpunk there recently as well, wasn't there? I must give it a go.
There was, yeah. I jumped in the last, and not the last major update, but the first major update they did, and yeah, it's super functional.
Okay.
Like, it's not crashing. It's not really T-posing anymore. It's pretty silky smooth on the Xbox Series X where I played it. I would highly recommend people give that game a shot.
Okay.
And kind of go in blind and just trying to poke around and figure it out, because there's an awful lot going on. I mean, it's working. It's worked great.
Yeah.
It's just, for me, it's not as interesting as The Witcher, even at its best. But it is a genuinely good game.
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely give it a go.
But anyway, moving swift as a sprint on from that news story. Kieran, what's going on with Usain Bolt?
Oh yeah, Usain Bolt, Olympic champion, decides, hey, man, I play Mario Kart. I'm gonna invest in esports. Sorry, that's not a dig or whatever. Like, obviously,
your Usain Bolt is on point.
Yeah, he sounds like he's from D4 or something.
Hey, man.
No,
I play Mario Kart.
I wasn't going to dig at him either there, just, but like I'm pretty sure, like in most of the articles that he's been quoted and stuff, it's been like, yeah, I realized that, like, you know, when I was playing Mario Kart, that was the competitive edge for sports, and that's why I got back into running. It's just like, really, like, that's it, like. Mario Kart, not like COD or something or anything, but Mario Kart. Which, like, fair enough.
So what? That got him back into running?
Yeah, it was like the competitive spirit from that or something, like from a game got him back into running at the time or something. So I should have pulled the quote for this. But I will.
But what's actually happening here?
Sorry,
why are we referencing him?
So there's an esports company based in Dublin. They're an Irish esports company.
Yeah.
Called Wild. It's WYLDE, and it's like, you know, obviously Oscar Wilde, but then also stands for what you love doing every day. So it's obviously an esports company, esports teams across like Rainbow Six Siege and stuff, and they're one of the only ones in the country. So it's like them and Munster Gaming. And I don't know if I've missed out any other teams that's not college level teams, because most of the colleges have their own teams as well. Shout out to all the guys in collegiate sports. But yeah, it's mad because Usain Bolt has now pretty much, like, I don't know whether he's invested in the business or if he's just like part of the representation. I don't know what kind of money he's moved hands, because I'm sure that's probably like a big expensive thing. But he's now the head of inspiration of Wild. So like, he's in the esports sphere, and it's a traditional sports figure, and it's just really good to see traditional sports and esports finally kind of meeting each other with like such a large scale proportion. And my next guess is that Ronaldo is gonna, like, you know, do something. I don't know who's gonna do next, but it's really
he probably
good to see.
will.
It's just really good to see that traditional sports and esports are starting to kind of mingle, especially in the Western world, because esports is still, I think, kind of predominantly in you know, like in Asia, much bigger than it is in the West. Even though it's still exploding and it's bound to get bigger, it definitely will get bigger. It is getting bigger, but it's great to see that happening, and that's why I thought I'd mention it and say it in here, even though it's been everywhere, and it was like the most shocking thing ever. Like, you walk into work and you see on LinkedIn, it's like Usain Bolt and Wild on Twitter, and you're like, what? Like, it's not April Fool's Day yet. It's still a few days away from April Fool's Day.
It feels like one of those, yeah. Or like, what was the other thing? Snoop Dogg recently signed up for what esport team?
Oh yes, one of the big ones.
It's one of those one word means nothing titles, but like, yeah, it's crazy. Like, we're just seeing these like celebrities now use their cachet to come in on these things, but like,
but it is great.
Usain Bolt, like, oh no, don't get me wrong, I'm delighted for Wild, but like, chief inspiration, whatever, like, it's kind of like a nothing title.
A little bit, it's probably just there to like give a little bit of advice to the players, and maybe like just a bit like perseverance and all the sportsy kind of stuff that I don't really understand. But like, as in, that's such a big thing for one, the international media that they've gotten, and then just to have that name attached.
Oh, absolutely,
it's incredible.
Absolutely. Like, they're getting his money, they're getting his cachet. They're getting his like appearances at road shows and at events and stuff like that. It's a huge get,
Yeah, huge.
you know,
get.
and it's super for the guys.
Fair play.
Huge get. But I'm just like, what level of involvement do you think he's in?
No
like,
idea.
Because it like I do a lot of work with like folks that are, you know, CEO, CTO, like that kind of like level of folks in big companies. Yeah, C-suite, exactly. I didn't want to use that in case that wasn't a recognized term, but like there's always guys on the board that are like just money men or cachet men, or they're handy to have in order to like open a few doors and windows for opportunities. This kind of seems like one of those things, but it's a really good one. Do you know what I mean? It's a really like when you I didn't hear about this. You sent me the link and I went, what?
I know it. Bananas, like.
Yeah.
But also incredible bananas.
That's so cool.
I love bananas. I don't know if it was on the RT news that night that it was released. I didn't get to watch it because I was traveling. But I really wished it was on RT news, and there's just loads of grannies and stuff going around the house. You're like, why is he doing that now for? Because I reckon.
Yeah. I don't know. That's absolutely gas. But look, fair play.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
I don't know why an Irish team of all ones, like he's Jamaican, isn't he?
I think he's English, like, Jamaican. Like, you know the way, like,
is he English?
Jamaican is like part of the Commonwealth or something like that. But I think
heritage.
He's definitely Jamaican, but maybe he's like English Jamaican or whatever.
But like, why an Irish team?
Hey man, why not?
You know, like why? Why not? I guess, but like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just there's so many weird things here that it's just like, I think Usain's walking away from this pretty looked after in some way. There's something happening here, you know what I mean? But no, great for the guys. I'm super happy for them.
Absolutely.
Super happy for them.
to
And I can't wait to see him at an event doing something.
Yeah.
I'm dying to see him
in
tell us about his
Mullingar at the football pitch.
In Mullingar.
Sports, you know.
Yeah. Getting the Fosters and like ordering a sausage roll and telling us about the latest Fortnite news or whatever.
Carvery.
You know?
Carvery and
Carvery. Carvery, FIFA, and a bit of Rainbow Six, if you please. That's gas. Stop. Anyway, I think that's been enough. It's been a triumphant return to the weekly schedule. Hopefully, I say that now and hope to God we meet next week. But thank you very much, Kieran Busby, for joining us again.
Thank you very much for having me and for having this podcast, because it's been good. It's been real. It's been good to get back to it, and hope to be here again in coming weeks. But I won't actually be here next week. Damn, I have to go to Barcelona. That's a different thing. Also, FaZe Clan.
Oh no,
Dog is signed to now as a content creator.
FaZe.
But yes,
FaZe Clan. That was it. Yeah.
I'm going to Barcelona next week.
Oh, yes. How long are you going?
From Thursday morning to Monday morning. Thursday morning to Monday morning. So what's that? 4 days, 5 nights? Something about that.
Yeah.
I can imagine I won't remember any of those 5 nights.
Oh, that's grand. You'll be there by Thursday evening. We'll just Skype you. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Actually, could. I can drink cocktails by the pool and just chat away to the games. Be like, oh yeah. What's that about?
I've often thought about it, like, you know, because again we started this during COVID, so I haven't had any holidays since we started this, like foreign holidays, really. And no, I've listened to like podcasts like Blind Boys one, and every so often he'll go off to Spain for like a week or two, and he'll just bring a little microphone with him, and he'll sit on a bench, and he'll just be talking about something, and like something will happen incidentally, and he'll just remark upon it, and it just, you can hear that it's lovely outside, you know. And I'm just kind of going like, maybe there's a casual game cast in like Lanzarote someday.
Oh man, you know? Tell me about it. I'm definitely gonna go to Lanzarote, I think, this year, because it's one of my favorite destinations. But anyway, I'm really digressing. we should anyway,
yeah, we're circling here. We're circling. With that, guys, thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for any support that you may have given us, or any support you may want to give us. If you do want to follow us, you can do so by following the links in the description. We're in socials, and if you want to do us one massive favor, you can like the podcast, review the podcast, and do so if you're listening to this on Spotify. Spotify now allows you to rate podcasts, so please pop in, please give it a 5-star rating, and do whatever the hell you want, because it's going to help us get seen.
Not subtly, you know? Just going to the Spotify app to do that right now.
Yeah, so we'll have 2 5-star ratings on Spotify. But if you can, that would be amazing. And if you want to do the most excellent of favors, please tell a friend. And specifically, tell your holiday broker. If you are getting ready to go to Barcelona, much like our Busby here, do go into your travel broker and tell them, hey, I got a little podcast for you, the Casual Gamecaster, and that'll be enough. But I have been Phil, he has been Buzz, and he's gone into a different dimension.
I have gone to a different dimension.
Camera issues don't play well in audio, but Buzz, say goodbye and let's take this one home.
Goodbye, my friends. Thanks for joining us. Phil, thank you very much for having me. Thank you for all your great work, and it's been good to chat to you again. Listen to all the other podcasts if you haven't. Last week's was great about Elden Ring, and the week before that was, I believe, our live podcast with the great Petzo, which you should listen to.
Absolutely. You're better at this than I'll ever be. My friend, take care, and for all of you guys at home, take care, stay safe, but most of all, stay casual. Bye!